Ooh, like LeBron though, or like Lonzo. Ooh, I'm a baller, yeah, shot caller, yeah. They love me, you can't touch me, nah, can't trust me. I'm too lucky. Look at me, look at you, what you see, what you do. Baby, please think it through, drink it up, enjoy the view. MVP on my crew, Nike on my shoes. Might be sipping booze, slightly feeling loose. If I want it, then I have it.
Boom, boom, boom. This is Jared and I'm back. Hey, you guys, I'm super, super amped. I'm so excited to go live right now and bring you an exciting interview. All right. So, man, I've got a very special guest. He's like a brother to me. I'm going to be interviewing Steve, the kidney nurse. And Steve has just great experience, great insight in the kidney disease community. Over 35 years. I think it's about 37. So he's great, great influencer, and I'm super excited to get his perspective on why he wanted to take a hiatus and why that hiatus has given him a better perspective, maybe re-energized or refueled him. And so we're going to get his side of the story and get refueled ourselves by hearing his passion, because that's what you're going to get when you hear him speak, when you watch him. All right, you're going to sense and see the passion that he has for helping people in the kidney disease community. But if you're new, all right, to the channel, all right, I'm Jared A. Brown. You know what time it is. I'm the host of the Warriors Quest show. And if you're new, please hit that subscribe button. And if you're new or a longtime subscriber follower, please don't be stingy. All right, please smash that share button. All right, thank you. I need your help, okay? Because we're always here to help our kidney warriors. All right, Lisa Gee is watching. Thank you, Lisa. Yvonne, thank you for tuning in, Yvonne. All right, so I'm going to bring on our guest, and I'll continue to show the comments. Keep those comments, man. Keep them dropping. All right, drop those comments because we want to keep this super interactive. And I super appreciate Yvonne for watching and tuning in right now. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to do a very, very special VIP intro because he deserves all the respect. He deserves it. All right, special, special friend, a special brother to me. Here we go. VIP. Drop a comment, make sure you give them a very, very warm Warriors Quest show welcome. All right. All right. VIP. Boom. Steve, how you doing, my
Hey, what's
brother?
going on, Jared? What's
Hey,
up?
man.
What's up?
It is a good day. Other than some minor hiccups with my internet, man, I'm doing really well.
Yeah, I know. You know how those things can happen, from history.
Yes, yes, I do. Yes, I do. That always seems to happen to us. All right, so wanted to leave that up for a moment here. Yvonne has followed you and me on TikTok, and
Hey, Vaughn.
she's the one who wanted to become a living kidney donor for Britta, and unfortunately, the antibodies didn't mix well, if you know what
Hey,
I mean. And
Margaret.
so,
Hmm.
so Yvonne's still trying to go through with the paired exchange program, of course,
Right.
and but Britta is still trying to find someone else in the meantime. But Yvonne is a super great supporter and advocate of Britta, and still trying to make sure she's encouraged and everything. Margaret, how are you, Margaret? Look at that. Hi, Margaret.
That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah, and we got Izzy
We need
watching.
we need more people like that to encourage
We
others
do.
to donate. Unfortunately, there's more people that need a kidney, that are willing to donate. And so we got to kind of turn those numbers around.
That's right. That's right. All right, Izzy's watching. You know, I appreciate Izzy. She's been a co-host of mine in the past, and she watched my show just on Wednesday, and she asked if she could be a co-host again, and I'm happy to invite her to become a co-host again as well. So, if I believe she has PKD, if I'm not mistaken. So,
Hmm.
yeah. All
I've
right.
talked to her and, offline.
Oh, you have? Okay. All right. Just
Hmm.
recently then? Okay.
Yes.
All right, look at this.
Hey,
Here's
Joe.
our
Hey,
yeah,
Joe.
hey Joe. Good to see you,
Yeah,
Joe.
thanks for watching.
Yeah. All right, so we've got she says right here I'm hanging in here on dialysis now. I hope your session goes well.
Mm.
All right, so Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Is that
So I
home
take it,
dialysis?
today's Friday. That's a good question. I was just gonna say usually when it's Friday, it's the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but let's ask her.
Mhm.
So Margaret, are you doing home hemodialysis or are you doing in center? All right, we'll get a comment probably very soon. But so, Steve, we're gonna get these comments. I'm so excited. We're getting a bunch of comments. I really am. I love it when our followers drop so many comments that it's hard to keep up with. I love that. But
Okay.
Yvonne says I filled out in Texas and Florida and West Virginia soon for S- uh, S- Sony or Tony Sinclair to be a paired donor. So. Um, and I tried to get her connected to one of my TikTok friends and I think she's being tested for him as well. And so she's, I've got so much admiration for her that way. That's awesome. Oh, she meant Stormy.
Mm. That's awesome, man, that she's
Okay.
taking that initiative.
Yeah, she is. So, but anyway, the reason why I'm putting this together, or we put this together, okay, is that you had asked me to to interview you and kind of get information out there, because everybody, n- you and I included, the both of us included, we all need a break. I mean,
Hmm.
and especially when we're so passionate, you and I have so much passion for what we do, and sometimes you need to take a step back, right? And
Yeah,
sometimes it's
yeah.
very very therapeutic, natural, and healthy to do that. And
Mhm,
so we I want to kind of talk about that in regards to how you took a break and
mhm.
how you feel that your hiatus from social media, how that helped you, what you learned from it, and and what you kind of gleaned in regards to what was good and bad and indifferent or whatnot. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, like you said, I took a about a 3-month hiatus, mainly from Facebook. I was here and there on
TikTok, yeah.
TikTok posting videos, but the main reason why I took off from Facebook because I started letting my personal opinion about um, world issues come in between what I was supposed to be doing out there, which is kidney disease awareness advocacy. And so when I got a little bit away from that on Facebook and started injecting my personal opinion on certain events like Wade versus Roe or political, that's not really me. I mean,
Right.
it's me, but that's not what I want to focus on. And social media has a way of sucking you in.
It does, especially Facebook.
Um, you may have your personal beliefs but not share with people. And then when you see this, you get kind of far, not you, but me, myself, get fueled inside and start interjecting my opinions and conversations that I shouldn't be talking about. And so I got away from the advocacy mentally, and I just had to take a break. And then in June, when I went to my doctor, I found out that my GFR, which is glomerular filtration rate, dropped me down to stage 2 kidney disease. And so I was
Okay,
eating
okay.
fast food, carry out Chinese food. I was eating all the things that I advocate to people not to eat. And here I mean, I'm only human, but
Right, right, right.
um, doing that. And so I had to take a step back and look at myself and start practicing what I preach. So during that time, when I found out that information, I totally did a 360. And so I don't recommend this for anyone, but as far as for myself, I eat one meal a day. Okay.
Okay.
I drink a lot of smoothies, healthy smoothies. Uh, I exercise every day. When I exercise, meaning either walking or I'm doing some type
Mhm.
of movement, and just really just kind of since that time, I lost almost 30 pounds. I say about 27 pounds. I feel
Wow,
great,
excellent.
and now it's just a matter of going and get my blood work done in a couple of weeks and see if I move my GFR back up a little bit,
Increased it.
a little bit back up in the 80s.
Mhm.
But I mean, I know what I did for it to drop down like that. My cholesterol was double, 268, off the charts. LDL was up 181. So that right there was evident that uh, I was eating items that I shouldn't been eating. So I didn't
Okay.
cut out all that and just came back to uh, pretty much basics and eating what I practice, like fruits, vegetables. No more. I don't eat no beef. I may eat chicken here and there. It's fish grilled.
Fish. Mhm.
A lot of vegetables, a lot of water. I got my water here, Skyra, which is 8.8 pH.
Alright, right
Um,
on.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And I cut out because I was drinking Calypso, fruit punches, Lipton iced tea. You know, I was just not really caring, but again, man, I had to cut all that out
I
and
feel you.
really focus on what I needed to do. So
Hmm.
that's what,
So,
took me off.
so you mentioned the high LDL, I think you put it. Is that the high bad cholesterol or what is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So you and I have that both in common then. So I take Simvastatin, I think, for that. And then of
Yeah, I
course,
take a
yeah.
statin, but I'm only going to take it for a minute. Once my cholesterol, I don't recommend anyone do what I do. Always check with your doctor, but by me being a registered nurse, I kind of know some things, and so I'm using myself as the guinea pig,
Okay, okay.
meaning I'm going to take. I told my doctor, I was against taking cholesterol. He wanted to give it to me. I said I wanted to do it on my own, but then I thought what I can do is take 2 months of it and change my lifestyle, get my cholesterol back down. Once I get it down, I'm gonna stop taking it and continue my lifestyle. But the thing is, as we get old, I'm 58, these things start to, cholesterol build up. So sometimes, no matter with diet, you may need, some type of statin,
Mm-hmm.
which is a cholesterol medicine or
Right.
something to keep that cholesterol down. So we'll see when I go back and get lab work done in about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. And I'm going to share that on my TikTok live and show the comparison of when I took the labs in May
Okay,
and
like a
my
before and
labs
after.
in, yeah, before and
All right.
after.
Yeah, very cool.
Oh,
We've got
absolutely, man.
look at this. We've got we've got Cello Effect watching. Thanks, Cello
Oh,
Effect, for
okay.
watching. What's going on, Cello?
All right, Joe. Hey, yeah, he was on live early. I mean, he was on his
Yeah, he
live
was.
platform earlier. I checked
Yeah,
him out for a little while watching that video.
very cool. And we've got Melissa Bias watching as well. Need to do a show on comprehensive incompatible kidney disease. That would be a very good topic. All right, yeah. And Joe's talking about ginger. What? Ginger is
Yeah.
underrated for real. Yeah, and
Oh,
turmeric,
absolutely.
turmeric, or however that's pronounced, that's pretty good too.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. Um, I just went on vacation, just got back from Dominican Republic, and my first time there. But I mean, pretty much everything there is organic. Uh, Cocoa butter, fruit, vegetable. I
Wow,
mean,
different culture. They eat differently then, huh?
oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So I want to give a shout out to James. Thanks for watching, James from Dad Vice TV. And so yeah, Joe's saying ginger and oats daily will bring that LDL down. Very cool.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
cool. I'll have to
absolutely.
eat. I'll have to eat more oats then, and definitely more ginger. Very cool.
Yeah, he's right about that.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I use in the smoothie that I make is ginger, pineapple, cucumber, and I use the pineapple skin. I cut it off and boil it, and I pour off the liquid to use as the base.
Mm-hmm.
Pineapple skin has an enzyme in there called bromelain that helps
Okay.
with respiratory, and so I use that as the base and mix it up. And so yes, ginger is one of the items that I definitely use as an ingredient.
Very cool. Also, one of my favorite characters on Gilligan's Island. All right. So I'm sorry.
Oh, ginger.
I'm Marianne, but anyway,
Uh
so
huh.
that's the millennials and other people probably don't even know what Gilligan's Island is though. All right. So, man, that how did you feel and when you met with your doctor and he presented to you that your GFR had decreased and it had gotten lower? How did it make you feel? I mean, what was
Dude,
going through
man,
your
I was
head?
like, I was like, damn, I messed up. That's not the word I used in my mind.
Right. I
But
effed up.
yeah. But you know, the thing about this, by me being in the dialysis field, and you start hearing, about your kidneys. For me, I started thinking, things that just all these different thoughts. But how this came to be back in 2002, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I got an unknown viral infection. We
I
don't know
remember
where it
that.
came from,
I do
don't know
remember that.
anything.
Yeah.
And it caused all these symptoms, caused me to lose weight,
That was
um,
scary.
fatigue, had these red splotches called erythema multiformes, uh, which developed kind of scabs on my head, on my chest, on my back. And I was spilling 3 grams of protein in my urine, and my liver enzymes were up, my blood pressure up. And they didn't know where this came from. I mean, by me being in the field I am and where I worked at the time, I knew a lot of doctors from the infectious disease department, nephrologists. So I was getting all types of consults behind the scene trying to figure out what the hell was going on
Right.
with me. They
Uh-huh.
did multiple battery of tests. Everything came back negative. And so as soon as this viral infection came, it like went away maybe about a week later. Okay. I was down to maybe 150 pounds, 145 pounds. If you could, right now, I'm down to about 180.
All right. All
Okay.
right.
So I was at 206 in June. I'm down to 180, 178 like 3 days ago.
Okay.
But I got down to that, man. And so since that time, every year, I've been monitoring, going to kidney doctor. Same one I had about almost 20 years. Guy that I really feel comfortable with, named Dr. Choi, Asian doctor, really, really good. And so I've been monitoring my protein to see if I've been spilling any protein in my urine, which I haven't. And so that brings me to June, one of my regular appointments. And when he told me that, I was like, I was a little like down, but not down, but I knew what I'd done wrong,
Okay.
because I don't have diabetes and my pressure is under control. And so what I kind of did is looked at my cholesterol was high, my LDL on my kidney numbers. Okay. And then
Okay.
the day that
Mm-hmm.
maybe I took the labs, maybe that night I could have had something that was, high in cholesterol, or, I'm just saying, because if your cholesterol's that high, it's like a buildup. But like my BUN and my creatinine wasn't
Out of whack.
like
Yeah.
outrageous
Mm-hmm.
or anything like that. So when I see that the GFR was where it was at 80, when last year I was greater than 100, okay,
Right.
I kind of look at my diet. And so we're going to see. Once I get the lab work done, we're going to see if those numbers crept back up. I also incorporated faithfully Renadil, which is
Right.
a pre-probiotic dietary supplement
Mm-hmm.
that helps maintain kidney health. So I've been taking that faithfully. I invested into that, and we'll see what happens, man. And
I'm
go
excited
from
to hear
there.
more about it. Yeah, I'm
Yeah, the
so
one
excited to hear
thing I
more about
do
it.
know for sure is that once you know you have this disease, the earlier you know, the earlier you can stop the progression by changing your lifestyle and preventing further damage.
So important.
Yeah, and well, that's not a medicine. I want to address that. Brandy, it's a supplement. It hasn't been evaluated by the FDA, but if you're on dialysis, again, it's a pre-probiotic. And so how it will help someone on dialysis is, you got to be mindful when you do this, is you got to make sure that you're keeping track of your labs, like your KT over V and your URR, which indicates, are you getting enough, like a good dosage of dialysis. Those two numbers, they check at the end of the month. And so, when you have a higher KT over V or URR, that means you're getting a good clearance. So what it could do is help in conjunction with the dialysis treatment. If you take that, possibly, I'm not giving any guarantees. This is something one would have to find out on their own by meticulously keeping track of this, but taking them, going to treatment, staying your whole time, eating a kidney-friendly meal. I mean, it takes a combination of things, and when you do that, to see if your KT over V increases, and if it does increase, then that opens up dialogue with the physician to say, hey, look, this is what I've been taking. I run 4 hours, and I went from this to this. Maybe I can go 3.5 hours and still achieve the same outcome that I did at 4 hours taking the Renadil. So in that aspect, it would be beneficial, but mainly this pre-probiotic Renadil is designed for people who have kidney problems. Again, this is not a medicine, so I cannot say disease. It's kidney problems. And, not just that alone, it takes a combination of dietary change, lifestyle change, and adherence to any other medicinal medicine that the doctor may have that person on to manage their condition, and keeping your blood pressure in control, your cholesterol level, your blood sugar, all that. It's not a one like pill fix.
Right.
It's a combination of things, and that leads me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and I don't mean to interrupt, but you explained it so well on Wednesday when I was talking about this on the Warriors Quest show, is that you had kind of you used a great analogy that it's kind of like a binder, and that it breaks down the toxins, and then it goes through our body like we would.
It works.
Mm-hmm.
It works just like if you're taking Phoslo, which is a
Mm-hmm.
phosphorus binder, or any other type of phosphorus binder, Renagel, or even if you're taking KX-late, which doctors write a prescription for patients that helps bind the potassium.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so they can eliminate through the stools. Like,
Okay.
for instance, these prescriptions they call SPS sorbitol solution, and basically, if it's a pending natural disaster that's brewing, maybe it may be some hurricane warning or tornado warning or something that's on the horizon, snowstorm.
Okay.
They write
Right.
each patient this prescription and have them get it filled. So if they miss dialysis not, because of some freak of nature or whatever, and they can't get there for several days, then they can take this liquid and it
Okay.
binds the potassium in the blood
Wow.
and they eliminate it out through the stools. Just
Much
like the
like,
phosphorus
yeah,
binder. The
right. Just
phosphor, that's why we tell patients to eat it to take the pill as soon as you eat, not before, not after, but directly with the meal. And
okay.
what it's designed to do is bind the phosphorus in the stool or in the gut, and it's eliminated out through the stool. Just like how pre-probiotics are designed, even if it's not for kidney health. That's just how they
Right.
design to eat the bad
Mhm.
bacteria and replace it with the good one, and it's eliminated through the stool.
And we've been using pre and probiotics for years, so it's
Oh,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean? Right. So, for anybody who's maybe, well, what is this Renadil? I mean, just
Mm-hmm.
look it up, but
And do your research. Hey
right.
man, that's the best little secret. Like people don't know, because I did a show with James Fabian, Dad Vice TV. This guy almost has up to almost 200,000. And Miss Candace
Subscribers, yeah.
Madden, uh, by saying Dad Vice has up to almost 200,000, close to that, but he uses it faithfully,
Yes, he does.
and
Yes, he
his
does.
GFR shot up from like single digit to double digits, just as Candace Madden here on your screen.
Mhm.
She was on my broadcast and she talked about it. And the thing is, a lot of people don't find out about this product until it's too late. They think, oh, it's just another
Lotion,
hocus
potion.
pocus. Yeah. And they don't see the benefits of it. I mean, now with so much, you got to look at this logically. With so much going on in the world, on this planet, when it comes to environmental, food, just everything that's been digested in our system, I mean, I try to look at the realistic of things. No one's 100% clean,
Mhm.
meaning,
True.
all these supplements, because somewhere along the line, you're going to get. So, I mean, we can try to do everything we
Right.
can to live, uh, uh,
Healthy,
yeah,
whatever,
healthy,
yeah.
like really bad to vegan, but somewhere there's some type of hidden ingredient that is unhealthy. And again, I say all this to say that with Renadil, okay, I did my research. I looked at the studies, and I actually looked at the testimonials and talked to
Mhm.
actual people who used the
People who use
product
it.
that
Yeah.
kept them off of dialysis or stopped the progression. Now, again, it's not a one
It's not.
supplement pill fix. I mean, you got to
No.
do other things
Right.
in conjunction to see a beneficial outcome. But first, everybody's
Yeah.
body is different, and you got to look at what's going on with your health. If you got diabetes, had it for 30, 40 years, and you're at the brink of, kidney failure, you may be a little too late. Okay.
Mhm.
I mean,
Right.
that's just to be realistic. Now, if you're at stage 3, 4, and maybe 5, because Candace was at 5 and she went from single back to double. But again, everybody's body is different, but it helped her stay off dialysis for a period of time where she didn't have to
Mhm.
start like a lot of people when they find out that they're at single digits. They
Mhm.
have, the
Immediately,
doctors
right.
encourage them, depending on if they having any symptoms. If they having some adverse symptoms from that kidney failure at say 10%, 9 or 8% kidney function rate, then the doctor's going to start them. But then you have, uh, yeah, then you have, people who it just, may not be able to help stay off dialysis.
Right. We're all different.
Um,
And
yeah,
by no means
exactly.
are you saying that this is a cure or that
No,
this
not at
is
all.
yeah, right.
Not at all.
But this is
Because
gonna
if you
help
stop taking
maintain
it, if you
right.
stop taking it, then it's it's not eating the
It's not breaking down the toxins, yeah.
bacteria, that puts a load on your kidneys. Because your kidneys, when they functioning and they all, if they damage, then uh, that's not a good thing because you can have protein spilling it through there. And see, that's a lot. That's another thing when people don't understand when your kidneys are damaged, when you're in stage, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and even 5, you got to watch your
You do.
protein intake because when kidneys are damaged and you ingest a lot of protein and they filter through the nephrons, which are the workhorse of the kidneys,
It's
they
stress.
damage them more.
Mm-hmm.
They damage them more. And so, like with Candace, she says she stopped because she's on dialysis, right? But let's say if she took them, started taking them again,
Yeah.
if she took them faithfully and did her treatment, I think she does it at home.
Right.
Like
Mm-hmm.
they say, let's just say, just for the sake of this conversation, she does 5 hours. Now I don't know how many hours she do, but let's just say she
Mm-hmm.
does 5 hours, 4 days a week, 5 days a week.
Okay.
Let's just say 5 days a week she did 5 hours. That's 25 hours of dialysis a week compared to someone in center doing 9 hours. Say they just
Right.
did 3 hours or 3.5.
That's a
Now,
big difference.
right. Now, let's just say she's not taking arena deal. Oh, okay. So that's 9 hours a week. So,
Mm-hmm.
but let's just say if she's doing 3 hours at home, that's 9 hours a week. And she, like, for a month, like, say, what's this, the ninth? So, like, let's say, like, this is the ninth. So, around the first of the month is when we do blood work. Between the
Okay.
first and the fifth or the sixth, they draw labs,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Monthly labs. Now, if she did that and say, okay, my KT over V is 1.5, right? And then she ordered the Renadil and started taking it faithfully and continued on her diet and did that. And when she did the labs again,
Okay.
and the KT over V went up to, let's just say 1.7 or 1.8, we can say what 80 to 90% say that was from that Renadil, because if she's been running an average of 1.5, say 1.4, 1.5, and then all of a sudden she takes the Renadil for 30 days or for 3
Mm-hmm.
months and continue that same regimen she was doing before she took the Renadil and saw an increase in them numbers, you can possibly have a correlate that with that Renadil usage.
Plausible connection. Gotcha. Okay. Well, I I mean, I know that not only you have been taking it, Candace, but James from Dad Advice TV, and James is a big proponent. And of course, you and I have a lot of respect for him and what he's
Yes.
done, because not only has he used that as a health supplement, but obviously he's done some other things to help his health.
Oh yeah.
But
Change the
he's been able,
diet.
yeah, right. But he's been able to stay off dialysis, and when you go to his YouTube channel, it's amazing that when you look or watch his beginning YouTube videos, and then compare it to, say, the second, like, I don't know, video 200 or something, because he had been on Renadil for a while. You can see the difference in his face. It's incredible because in his earlier videos, there's almost like this dark sort of baggage under his eyes, and it's like
Really?
sunken. Yeah, and I think it's because of the toxins. I'm not sure, but you can visibly see a difference in his face from his earlier videos to his videos now. It's pretty remarkable. It really is. But
Wow. Wow. And that's the thing, man. Um, Look, like you mentioned, I've been doing this close to 40 years, say about 37, 38 years. And technology is amazing because now you're able to see other people that deal with this disease. Now, in 2014, you know, it wasn't like it is now, where you're seeing all these videos and people coming out advocating on TikTok. You're seeing people on dialysis and seeing people's arms. Now people, that's good because
it
people are seeing the
right,
reality
the reality, it's raw. Yeah.
of what's happening. You're not
Hmm.
just seeing me out in front of a
Walking and
building,
yeah.
but you're actually seeing people inside the building. And this is the thing: when I started in 1985, when I walked through the doors of the first clinic, I didn't never heard of dialysis. I just got out of the military as a grunt, driving school buses
Hmm.
and doing security in Austin, Texas. And then I go to this trade school to learn medical assistant. And for some reason, I had a knack for it, able to type and really be focused. I guess that came from the military and paying
Yeah.
attention to detail. But my third month of school, I went to the job placement office and asked them, do they know where I can find a job to do on-the-job training to learn about this? And so they gave me the number to dialysis unit. I called, I go there, and they hired me. But when when the lady took me to the back and opened the door, all you saw, now the machines were different back
Right.
then. They weren't like the Fresenius you see today, tall. They were called Drake Willock, and they sat on. They were about maybe that length, but they sat on a like a cart or whatever. But so it's real different. But you can see the blood when you come in the door, the way how the tube and on the lines hung, you see these massive row of people and the blood spinning. It kind of takes you back for a moment
That
if
would
you
be
never,
alarming.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you never witnessed that. And for some reason, man, when I went through training, I latched on to it, and it got. I mean, I was so driven. I would take the material home, study at home. Everywhere I was going, I was reading,
You
learning.
dove
When I was
in. You dove in.
Yeah, when I was at the unit, people would come off. I would tear down the machine and set it up, and it got to the point where I could set up the machine and talk. In fact, one of the guys that was in training with me, I never forget it. His name was Sid Shanae. He was
Hmm.
he was from Louisiana, short guy, but he was older than me. I was 21 at the time, and he was maybe in his 30s or 40s. He couldn't talk and work at the same time. Okay.
Okay. All right.
And I never forget this. They did this guy wrong
Really?
because they had him work the whole day and then they fired him.
No. No. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, they did him dirty.
Yeah, they had him work the whole day,
Yeah.
bro.
Oh, and then they
And
let him go.
at the end of the
Wow.
day, yeah, I was a little mad. I was pissed off,
Yeah.
but I knew what I had to do.
Yeah.
And back then, at the time, I don't mind sharing this. I was a technician. This was 1985. We only made $4.15 an hour as a dialysis technician.
Yeah. I mean, the economy was different, and the um you know the economy, inflation, everything. So it's a little bit different, but nonetheless, that's that's a big difference in regards to what we're now experiencing
Oh
now.
yeah, most definitely, man. Most definitely.
Well, it's a pleasure to always be able to pull or draw you in when maybe I feel like I'm not well versed with something. And so I really appreciate your insight and what you bring to the disease community because it always makes me feel a little bit more comfortable. I mean, early on when I first started doing these broadcasts, of course, you were remember that you were we'd have a
Yeah,
live
yeah.
show and I'd be talking, asking questions, and then you'd actually message me and say, "Hey, say this or do this," and you would give me some direction, and slowly I've I've become more familiar with the lingo and I've gotten a little bit more you know, familiar with this or that, but nonetheless, I I really want to thank you. I know I've said it before, but I want to thank you publicly because I honestly don't know how I would be advocating right now without your guidance or direction and your insight. So I have a lot of respect and I appreciate what you've helped me do.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I mean, I want to answer that question in a minute, Candace, but no, man, this look, like I said, man, this disease impacts a lot of people. When I say a
Mhm.
lot of people, a lot of people. We just seeing a fraction of people on social media um, talking about how they deal with this, in different groups on TikTok, different social media. But you know, we got to think about the family of people dealing with disease. And so when it comes to kidney disease and when it impacts somebody that don't know nothing about it, never heard about it, they was enjoying their life, living their best life, and then all of a sudden, boom, you know, their kidneys fail. Now it's a new normal. I mean, it's a real new normal. And a lot of people that's on here can tell you that because at the end of the day, if one goes on dialysis, I mean, this is the truth. And I mean, the truth is the truth. There's no cure to kidney disease. I mean, and, you know, when I hear that, and by me dealing with kidney disease, it's like, you know, if there's no cure, then you can stop the progression because nobody wants to go on dialysis. You know, that's nobody signed up for it. It's just the way the cards were dealt, and that's how I always looked at this disease when treating patients. When I first started, is that I could be sitting in that chair if life was different. I could have been born and could have been sitting in the chair, and that person sitting in the chair could have been my technician or nurse. I always approach every situation like that, like if I was how I would want to be treated, and that's how I
Mhm.
always delivered my care and looked at things. But the importance of advocacy and education can't be stressed enough because I've seen so many people in my career that told me they didn't know. They didn't know they had this. They didn't know
Mhm.
they had that. And those stories start to add up. And then
They
when
really
you
do.
find yourself 3, 4 in the morning in the emergency room or in the ICU, and you got a patient looking at you with a rescue breathing mask on because they in respiratory distress, and they waiting for you. You know what I'm saying? Because once they determine that the person needs dialysis, they put the call in to the physician, and then the physician pages me. Not now, but that's how it is. They page the
Right.
on-call nurse. So if the on-call nurse lives an hour, first you got to wake up and get the call, and then however you get yourself together to go. If it's 3, 4 in the morning,
Oh,
You know,
wow.
some people made, you know, I mean, it's been times where
Wow.
I left the hospital at 11 o'clock after working from 7 in the morning to 11. And then I get home about 12. And, you know, when it's that late, you want to go to sleep, but you up
Right.
for a moment.
You
So you try to wind
can't shut it
down.
off that fast. Yeah.
Yeah. And so next thing you know, 2:30, the pager goes off.
Uh-huh.
And you got to go back to the hospital. Okay. And the patient is waiting for you. They waiting for you to get now. I got to rinse the machine because I disinfected it before I left at 11. And just the whole waiting process. And you know, they sitting there, they on the gurney, and they looking at you and they just want to feel better. I
Right.
mean, I mean,
Wow.
it's you know, talking
I mean, that,
about it, like this
wow.
advocacy and doing these shows, is nothing like being in real time doing dialysis. Like now, I'm in an environment, in a nursing home environment. You know, I'm not going to say the company I work for is not none of the big chains that you see me in front of. Is not them. But I work at a 24 chair unit right now. I work tomorrow morning, and it's inside of a nursing home.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And again, with the statistics,
Right. Oh,
all
wow.
24 chairs
Mm-hmm.
and 23, I mean, maybe 20 patients black,
Okay.
2 whites,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe several Hispanics.
Okay. All right.
That's just on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I haven't talked about Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Right. And I watched your live broadcast the other day with Compassionate Match with Pastor Nick. And you and he talked about that a little bit. And he he had some questions in regards to that, and asking questions like how much of that has to do with the socioeconomic, sort of origins, and trying
Mm-hmm.
to kind of get your opinion about that. And I, and I'd like to kind of have you expound on how you answer that, or how that kind of unfolded when your conversation on that little topic, because I was, you know, I think I get it that we want to make sure if we can help people live a healthier lifestyle. I get it. All right. It's always better if we can prevent dialysis or diabetes and high blood pressure. Like you are right. You're at the forefront of always every day trying to get that to everyone's attention to, check for diabetes, check for high blood pressure. You do that every day, and that's going to help. But statistics don't lie that that African Americans, Hispanics, that they have a higher tendency, that the odds are not in their favor versus me as a white male. You know what I mean? or
Mm-hmm.
or the Caucasians, and that has nothing to do with, by the way. Um, well, I shouldn't say it has nothing to do with, but little to do with, the diet. I think that's isn't that just necessarily biology, or help me understand uh, how that works, because I'm a little lost because statistics don't lie, right?
Mm-hmm. So, all right. So, I mean, we all grown adults, and I mean, the truth is the truth. We all know the history of blacks in this country. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we all know that racism exists. We all know that
Yes.
institutionalized racism exists. I mean, this is just facts. We see it every day, whether
Yes.
we want to
Right.
acknowledge it or not, whether
It's
some
there.
people may feel comfortable or not. I mean, the truth is the truth that racism still exists, and particularly with Black and brown and people. So
Mm-hmm.
when you look at a lot of these communities and cities like, say, Chicago, Baltimore, DC, Philly,
Mm-hmm.
you got something called redlining, and what that deals with is that they separate basically the good area from the bad area. And so
Okay.
we all know in a lot of urban communities that are highly populated with Blacks. And so
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times, and there's a lot of other things that factor into this, like lack
Sure.
of resources, lack of transportation, lack of finances, lack of job
Education.
opportunity, education. And so when you have all those issues at play, then you're going to see high rates, like in certain areas, high crime rates, high rates of diabetes, high rates of high blood pressure, heart disease, and all, count all the way down. You see these problems mostly impacting Black community. Not to say that this don't happen in white community, but when you look at the overall picture, like you said, statistically, this impact is happening in Black communities. Just the truth, because of these lack of resources. These companies like Fresenius, DaVita, when they doing their looking for areas, their business model or their business plan, they looking at areas that's going to have high rates of diabetes,
Mm-hmm.
high rates of heart disease, high rates of high blood pressure. And I mean, yes, you would have some people to say that's, that's good because it's helping them people in the area having access to dialysis, where you may have someone who is white that live in, say, Arizona, Nevada, or somewhere where it's not a high rate of this, but you'll see dialysis clinics maybe 2 or 3 hours away from each other, because
Mm-hmm.
the need is not as great as it is in Mississippi or Florida or Georgia or California. Like in California, half of the state is diabetes. I mean, there's in Inglewood, California,
Right.
there's more dialysis clinics than there
It's
are
crazy.
McDonald's.
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
and so my particular spiel with these clinics is they're being more reactive than proactive. I
Okay. I
mean,
agree.
if you're going to come in the community and set up a dialysis clinic, then you need to have some health fair days. You need to be in the community talking about ways to prevent diabetes or hypertension, or if you got kidney disease, to get checked or do something to stop the progression. The only time these companies do any type of proactive education is when the person gets referred, say at stage 4, and they go see a nephrologist, and the nephrologist says, okay, I want to send you the kidney class. They go to DaVita or something, and they take a little class, and they teach them, the what I talk about in my book, like the different treatment options, anemia, and certain things. But what's happening, okay, what a lot of people don't understand what's happening, and it don't. This is how I paint the picture, but you won't see it like that. But this is known by working in the field. They're pretty much grooming. They're grooming the person So when it's time for dialysis, they're going to be going to that clinic. They're going to be a
Wow.
patient, right? They're going to be a patient at that facility.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not, you go to the class, it ain't going to be no backup. I'm going to, hey, what's going on? Are you watching this? You know,
Right.
like I used to work in disease management as well.
Mm-hmm.
And disease management is where you manage the disease and like whatever disease process you got going on, heart disease, diabetes, whatever. And I happen to work for a company called Healthways that did one of their departments was the end-stage renal disease department, and certain insurance companies, health insurance,
Mm-hmm.
have this component
Okay.
where if the patient, say, is stage 3, stage 4, stage 5, and haven't started dialysis, we call them up on the dollars, automatically have a headset on, they got their information on the screen, you know, because it's all passed through interchange or through the insurance company, whatever. But uh, you know, we're able to send out information to them with the touch of a button. Ask them how they've been doing. They still taking this medication. They got that medication. Now, if people are being monitored like that,
Wow.
there's a chance
Yeah.
for progression. But then the person got to be, you know, susceptible to learning, because some people, when they go to their doctors, and the doctor, if the doctor do try to tell them about the condition, they may not pay attention to it and continue on their same lifestyle and not make any changes. And so
Right.
it goes both ways, but it starts with
It
education and letting the person know so they can make that decision, you
it
know, a
does. It
conscious decision.
definitely. And yeah, and I'm forgetting who. Oh yeah, it was Lisa Gee who said, "But many fast food." So I want to touch on that just briefly because I found information and I did a TikTok video about this where McDonald's was kind of in trouble for having influenced lower income communities by putting kids of color in their commercials and trying to influence urban communities to eat their food, and so they were in trouble for doing that, you know, and
Well,
so
look, man, anytime, sometime when you sell hamburgers and stuff, you know, you get what you pay for. And, you know, my grandkids, my daughter, sometimes buy them McDonald's, and I try to educate, but I mean, I'm not their parent, you know, but I don't eat McDonald's because I know what, you know, how that food is processed and everything else. But the point is, man, is that all these fast foods, when you see this, and when you're working, say you may be working 2 jobs, okay, some people working 3, and you don't get you know, when you come home, you may be tired, you're working 10, 12 hours a day, you may not want to cook when you come home. And
right,
so
right, right.
you know, you may be one that if you're taking the bus or public transportation, you may not want to stop at the grocery store when you get off or catch the bus to go there. And you may be susceptible to want to go to the fast food right down the street from you. And
Mhm.
when you're doing that for years, it adds up. And
Adds
then
up.
take into account if you don't do any exercise, if you live in a sedentary lifestyle where you don't do any movement, any action, exercise,
Walking. Mhm.
walking, you know, gardening, it just anything to burn calories. If you're eating fast food that's 750, 800, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 calories per meal,
Like McDonald's.
yeah, that could be a bit much, man. And
Yeah.
I can just see how people gain weight. And you know, the one thing, like for instance, Jared, like I said, I lost 25 pounds, well, almost 30 pounds, but I lost 25 pounds within a month.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that to say, with all these fads and diet, it's a money making business. And the way one loses weight, and it's so simple, man. I mean, it's really so simple. It's not Jenny Craig and
Right.
and all these things. It's burning more calories that you bring in. You got to have a deficit. Meaning, if
True.
you like, if I only eat one meal a day, and the reason I eat one meal a day because I realize our digestive system is not designed to eat 3 to 4 meals a day because it takes about 6, 7, 8 hours to digest one meal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but if you're eating all these meals throughout the day and you're not exercising, you're not gonna burn those
Right.
calories. And what I did, like I said, was one meal each day, but every day I walked or exercise, and that just helped me, burn more calories than I'm bringing in. And then at the time that I ate, it wasn't like a lot of calories. It was just enough to make that I felt comfortable or full at, and that was that. And when I felt hungry, I drink water.
That's an excellent idea, excellent tip because having a little water can actually put something in the stomach. That's a great idea. So Lisa
Mm-hmm.
says I've got to have breakfast. Well,
Yeah, and see, that's the
yeah,
thing.
don't
And
you do
see,
you.
yeah, absolutely. But when you look at it again, um, it's crazy because when you look at the pattern, we all been know about breakfast. It's almost like a program. We get up, we eat breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
then we eat lunch, then we eat dinner, and for breakfast it's normally eggs, bacon, breakfast food, and these foods, at the end of the day, it, like creates high cholesterol. Like we know if you eat eggs, fried eggs, you're going to have high cholesterol.
Right, right.
That's
Mm-hmm.
pork. I mean, I'm not nobody who's eating that because I've ate it, but you got to look at the writing on the wall when you eating these products over a long haul and not done anything about
Okay,
it. It
okay.
it it, it adds up to what we see today: heart disease, uh, diabetes, high blood pressure, peripheral artery disease, high
Mm-hmm.
cholesterol. High cholesterol had to come from somewhere. I mean, how all of a sudden
Right.
1 minute you don't have high cholesterol, and then you eating diet that uh, you know high in cholesterol eventually is going to add up. I mean, we see this.
It does,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah. I mean, then walk. I mean, exactly. That's the thing. If for a lot of people, they don't walk, and we can see that with the high rates of diabetes,
Absolutely.
people gaining weight. I mean, it's out of control. I mean, it really, really is. And I just try to do my part, Jared, to again educate everybody, but in particular the Black community, because a lot of
Mhm.
people in these communities never heard of kidney failure, kidney disease, don't think about it because the conditions they may live. And this is not everybody, okay? I
Eh,
mean, but I'm just saying, in the community
I hear
that's
you.
quote quote considered like food desert, um, or underprivileged communities, I try to heavily focus on that because that's where a lot of the dialysis clinics
It's
lie
true.
at.
Facts.
Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, in fact, I mean, I don't live in a food desert area where my parents live right now, but there are 13 dialysis clinics in the 2 to 3 mile circumference
What?
radius.
What?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Matter of fact,
Wow.
I work
It's
at a clinic
staggering.
5 minutes from my house
Wow.
inside
Wow.
of a nursing home.
You could literally walk there.
I could. I could, but
Yeah.
I drive. It's about 5 to 7 minutes driving. But yes, I
Yeah.
can literally go walk there or ride my bike.
Yeah. Wow.
And then it's one down the street from there that you can walk to. I mean, they're
Mm-hmm.
just all over the place. All
Yeah.
over the place. And that's the thing. This is not normal. People say,
It's
oh, they're in
not.
the community and it's helping people.
It's
Yes. I'm not knocking the treatment that's being done. I'm
no,
knocking
no.
that they're exploiting and building more clinics instead of
Exactly.
there being more reactive than proactive. It's
Right.
like
Right.
Lisa G saying they are needed.
They
I
are.
mean, because if you
Uh,
take away, listen, if you take away diabetes and hypertension, and you look at the people on kidney disease from polycystic
It'll
and
go
any
down.
other, they wouldn't fill up the
No,
clinics
no. Sure,
like
there'd
how
still be
diabetes and
right.
hypertension causes it.
There'd still be PKD, of course, like you just said, Alport's syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
lupus, and some other things that cause kidney failure. But it would just since it would seriously go down,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
and that's what I think that people sometimes misunderstand when they see you either in a video or a photo and you're pointing at a dialysis center near a Family Dollar. And by the way, sometimes it's misunderstood by someone who kind of looks like me, and I'll just leave it at that. Is not I don't mean my twin, but I'm just saying if it's usually people who don't live all right in lower income or urban communities that will say that. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
being honest. That's my opinion, and I may be wrong, but I just think that they're not as privy. Okay, they don't understand because they don't see it, and I'm not going to say they're closed minded, but they're ignorant to what's happening, and that's what's sad. Okay, and that's we need to open people's eyes, and the more we open their eyes, they'll understand that back in if we look at the statistics, okay, that if we look at the health statistics, yes, there were still diseases back in, say, for example, 1850 or 1889, but the amount of people who had kidney failure back then, come on, they were eating things that were on the land back in 1847. There weren't all these fast food restaurants or restaurants that we have because okay, I'm not here to alarm people, but the amount of sodium in restaurants is out of control. They want you to they want you to think that it tastes good. So they're pouring in the sodium, all right? And then of course the amount of sugar or carbohydrates that you'll find in pizza, pasta, all sorts of things. The restaurants are really that's our vice here in America in regards to food. Okay. I lived in Germany for 2 years. You lived in Germany, okay? And they eat potatoes, carrots, more than we do, okay? It's been a minute since I've been there, but nonetheless, I still think it's probably pretty similar, all right? Is that there are other countries that don't eat out and eat at fast food restaurants as much as we do. So I think that is our detriment. And to put these fast food restaurants and Family Dollars, all right, in the urban communities, they're making money because of that, and that's where it's a shame. That's where you're trying to bring attention is that
Mm-hmm.
if we if we if we gave more education about what sodium does to that it increases high blood pressure. Okay, if we look at the amount of sodium, for example, in a soda, all right, or energy drink, right? In some cases, it's like 150 milligrams, all right, and
Mm-hmm.
and then the amount of caffeine, which can increase the high blood pressure, all right, and so I'll get off my rant here, but it just infuriates me. It really does, and that's where the education is lacking,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what you're providing, Steve, and that's what we want. Is we want to decrease the type 2 diabetes. We want to decrease the hypertension, and if we can do that, then it's a win. You're right. We're helping people. That's what we want to
Oh,
do. But
absolutely, absolutely. I wanted to
so
answer this
P-Teach,
question.
yeah,
Yeah, thanks for that. I do 2 to 3 miles. I go to a park near my house. There's a couple of parks here in the Washington, D.C., Maryland area. Go to one called Greenbelt Lake. It's a nice big park, and you walk around the lake. But about 2 to 3 miles a day. Yeah, yeah, just right. Even if it's just down the street,
right,
just get out and move. It doesn't have to be 2 to 3 miles like I
right.
do, but just moving and burning calories is good, and it also makes you feel good.
It does.
More
Vitamin D.
energy,
Mm-hmm.
the endorphins that's released. Uh,
Endorphins.
yeah, it
So
just helps.
therapeutic. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Jed, that what you were saying about the education, uh, and these communities that had these clinics, it is very important. And
Very
I
important.
mean, there's a method to the madness, far as me being in front of the dialysis clinics. I mean, these are uh, calculated videos that I think about before I do them, and sometimes they designed to evoke emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and then other times they're designed to have one think like, what is going on. I mean, for instance, I have a couple of videos where I was like, one video I'm in Houston, Texas, and a big dialysis clinic for seniors. Then directly next door is the plasma center, and then right next door to the plasma center is the access center where patients go and
Oh my
get their
gosh. Wow.
assets fixed.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
then I have a video that compare and contrast to,
Uh-huh.
in the same video, it goes to here back in Maryland, where is a bioplasma place. Right next to that, it's a Family Dollar, and then right next to that, it's a DaVita. And so
Okay.
it's not just in one places, and you don't hear about it because no one's talking about it, and you're not going to see a nurse such as myself coming out and doing what I'm doing. I mean, I don't I care, don't get me wrong, but I don't care. And what I mean by I don't care, because the message is more important to let people
It is.
know that,
Right.
yes, you may have a clinic in your neighborhood, but that's not normal. Like, if you see some of my videos where I'm in communities where it's a dialysis clinic right across the street from somebody's house or
Yes.
apartment building.
Uh-huh.
I mean, back in the day when I started, you would
Would
never have
never.
seen
Yeah.
that.
Right.
Okay, you never gonna see a dialysis clinic back in the 80s or
Like
90s
it's
right
a
across the
7-Eleven. Yeah.
exactly. And I say that to say, when it comes to, like, when you look at it, like, nothing against cancer, okay? But when you talk about treatment centers to go get chemo or whatever, you see these places near medical facilities. You
Mm-hmm.
don't see them placed in certain communities next to,
Strip
and a lot
mall
of
or
people do chemo.
yeah.
A lot of people do chemo, right? And so kidney disease is the ninth leading cause of death, greater than breast cancer, prostate, but you don't see
The
radiation or
attention. Yeah.
chemo places next to Dollar
Right.
General or
Or
Crawford
Red
Fast Food.
Lobster or
Exactly. But you see dialysis treatment centers is the only chronic disease
Right.
treatment that you see that are in, underprivileged communities, or, in the suburbs. I mean, they're just everywhere. Now it doesn't matter. In fact, even though diabetes and hypertension are the two leading causes, you can get, let me say this before I say that. You can have diabetes and hypertension and not go on dialysis. Okay.
True.
So everybody who gets diabetes or hypertension will go on dialysis? No, but a high percentage, very high percentage, if it's left untreated and not managed, are going to head down that road.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're going to head down that road. But what I was going to say was, now those two are not the only things that you got to watch out for. You got to watch out for if you're dealing with mental health. Say one's dealing with mental health and the doctor gives them lithium.
Yes.
Now
yes.
You got to watch your lithium levels. They got to be monitored, because long-term lithium use can
cause
damage
kidney
the
failure.
kidney. Okay. What if you had somebody that had chronic back pain or chronic knee pain or neck pain, or where they took years of ibuprofen, okay,
right,
like Advil or Motrin, that damaged the kidney. We got medicines that are nephrotoxic that aren't like being pushed out there. So a lot of people don't know. So somebody say go to the dentist or have an infection from something, and they get vancomycin, and they don't know their medical history, and they don't know that they may be allergic. Like, they can get vancomycin, and that can knock out their kidneys. They can get strep throat. That can knock out their kidneys.
Acute kidney injuries, yeah.
Yeah, it's just so many things now that can cause, like you say, acute kidney injury. That you can get COVID and get acute kidney injury. I know people who got kidney disease from COVID that's on dialysis right now because of COVID.
Damaged their kidneys too much, right?
Right. And so, somebody can have a bad heart and go to a hospital and get heart surgery. That can knock out your kidneys for somebody's parents. So it's so many ways now that can lead you to kidney dialysis, is that education is so important. Okay. I mean, when you're going to have all these clinics, more than 7,500 and growing across the United States, then you got to have something that's going to, if you find yourself in the category of
stage
possibly,
3, yeah,
3, 4, or your
stage
parents,
2, yeah,
you got to be equipped and armed to, be prepared. And that's why I did How to Survive Outpatient Hemodialysis, because a lot of people, when they find out that they got kidney disease, it's like a fast track. Like, they go in the emergency room, they get diagnosed, they get admitted, they get the catheter put in, they get the treatment. Now it's time for them to be discharged, and here comes the case manager, okay, to find out where they live at, so they can find a dialysis clinic near them. Okay, and what ends up happening, it may be a clinic right down the street, right, like 2 blocks over, but they may like the kidney doctor that was on consult that admitted them and was taking care of them, and he may have a clinic across town that could be 5 miles away. And he'll get that patient to try to go to that unit, because if the patient say, I want to stay with you, then the doctor be like, I don't go to that unit that's 2 blocks from you. I don't have privileges there. I got privileges at this DaVita unit that's 7 miles from you. And then they'll do that. They'll go right past one clinic to go to another clinic.
Right.
Seriously.
They do. It
And,
does happen. I've
and
interviewed people that have said that.
yeah, and so that's why I did this book. So if someone was to have this book and read it right before they start outpatient, then they know what to expect. I designed it to hopefully eliminate some anxiety, because it's not going to eliminate all, because we all
It won't.
wants to know the unknown. Like if you're about to start dialysis treatment at a clinic that you've never been before, you don't know nobody there now, this is where you're going to go pretty much for the rest of your life, or until you get a transplant. Or unless you transfer and go somewhere else.
Right,
now,
to another clinic or whatever.
Yeah,
Or do
you're
home
going to be going
dialysis
there, and there's going to be people come and going, like any occupation. All right, you may be there, and you may meet a technician or a nurse that you really like. I mean, that put you on and everything. And then next thing you know, you come in, that person's not there. Maybe they left or they got fired. So there's a lot of movement, people leaving, coming. Now with the staff shortages, you got clinics that's running very short. Staff having 4 patients where they used to having 3. Now they may have to do a 4-patient assignment. They may not be used to that. And, when you got taking care of 4 patients, you putting 4 patients on and taking 4 patients off dialysis. If you're not really mindful of what you're doing, you can make a mistake. There's certain steps to this. It's not just in black and white, because one deviation from a certain step can be the possibility of life or death.
Well, let's talk about where they can go to get this book, Steve. So I've helped you out a little bit. I've got scrolling on the ticker here down below. I've copied and pasted your website, and then I'm sharing the screen right now where they could see what it looks like. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. They can go to the site to get the book, order the book, and also have on the site, which I don't think a lot of people know about that I have, and that's the HELC. And this is the hemodialysis. This is the home emergency lifeline kit. And what this is, man, what made me come up with this is, had a patient in the past that was bleeding for a long time at the clinic. We got them to stop, and they went home, and they bled out at home and passed away. And this kit, for a lot of people or their family members, when they're at home and they start to bleed again, for whatever reason, they may not have anything there. They may have to use a towel or whatever. But the home emergency lifeline kit has 2 pairs of gloves, a tourniquet inside of it, 4 3x3s, and short seal bandage, which stops the bleeding, has a certain material under the thick part of the band aid and this, again, this is just designed, if you start bleeding again, that you got something handy to get to stop the bleeding. So that's on there.
Awesome.
And and it comes with pressure bandage. You can't see this because this is green, but this is an orange one. We got different colors, but this is a pressure bandage that once you stop bleeding, you could lightly put this pressure bandage around it, and it would keep it stopped. And then they got forgot to mention, it comes with a Lifeline care card with instructions, and my business card comes in there, along with a business card for Transplant Journey, which is owned by Jim Benson. And so you got two resources that, one, if you need to contact me for anything, you can reach me. And two, Jim Benson, who is CEO of Transplant Journey, that helps people looking for a transplant kidney for free. Will help you out if you reach out. And so now I'm working on my second book as we speak. I'm on chapter 5, and that is the dialysis handbook, the dialysis patient handbook of information. And that goes a little bit more in depth, Jared, of
Okay.
how to survive hemodialysis. I get really nitty gritty about, talk about infection control, talk about emergency preparedness. I go in depth on dialysis and the diet. I talk about hospitalization and being prepared for hospital and what you should take and what you should have packed, pre-planned. I talk about bringing your discharge papers back with you. Also, going to be talking about the consent form, just getting in depth of a lot of information that patients don't consider or think about. I talk about eating on dialysis. That's a big issue, sometimes a problem with patients when they eat on dialysis, because some places they don't care. So you see a patient come in. This is a lot of times it's in the city units, but they'll go and like go to the market, and the market here is like not the regular market like the supermarket, but when I say market, there's a lot of vendors in one building, and they sell fresh fruit or fried chicken
All
at
right.
this
All right.
place or this or that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it'll be patients coming in with one of those white trays that got the dividers in it, styrofoam trays with like beef and onions and this and that. I mean, and they eat it on dialysis, and then about an hour later, they're sitting up throwing up. They're
Wow. Wow.
vomiting this food
Mm-hmm.
back up. So I say that to say that some places that you eat and some don't. And the reason why is because when we eat, the digestion process, it pours blood away to go down to digest their food. And so if a patient is eating, right, and let's say their blood pressure drops. And so if their blood pressure drops while they're in the middle of eating and swallowing their food, there's a possibility that they can choke or aspirate on their
Mm-hmm.
food. So they pass out and they're in the middle of eating, then everything kind of goes, kind of lax, and, you're not chewing and digesting the food, it's in your throat or whatever. And so that can cause, a person go into cardiac arrest, or
Wow.
they can
Wow.
aspirate their food
Mm-hmm.
and get pneumonia. And so there's a lot of things in that book, almost like little secrets, but
Mm-hmm.
they're known in the dialysis world. But some patients may have heard and some patients not, but they are rarely talked about, some of the stuff in the book in the second book, because now a lot of times you don't have the staff able to sit down and educate the patient. It's almost like a fast track, like get them in and get them
You
out
gotta
quick.
hurry. Yeah.
But we don't, there's no time to educate or talk about this. There's no time to say, for instance, if you have a patient that is on dialysis and let's just say they can't use their hands. I mean, they can use it, but they're weak.
Okay.
So they may not get the education on emergency evacuation. The power goes out, or if it's fire in the building, or something happens, and the patient needs to disconnect and get off dialysis. You know, we got a bag where we had these clamps in it, and they can clamp the line off. But if they can't physically, I was looking for the lines I had, but if they can't physically clamp those lines because it's these thick clamps on the lines. Like I said, I was trying to find if I had. Oh, wait a minute. These right. So this is a venous line right here, the return line.
Okay.
And so this this is the venous line, and so this part right here goes to the patient. This part right here, this connects to the needle, and then you have this right here. So when we take a patient off dialysis, we clamp that, and then we clamp the one on the needle right here. So this is the needle, and this is like a lower lock. And so when we taking the patient off, right, we turn in their blood and say the line is clear, their blood, we clamp this first, and then we clamp that, and then we're able to disconnect, right? So if there's a fire or a patient needs to get out, and you got a staff member that say got 4 or 5 patients, and say those 4 or 5 patients can't help themselves. So who do you take off first?
Yeah.
If they need to get out of there,
That's
and
a
you
tough
got 5
decision.
patients, you know, you got to look at who's the worst off and help them first. If the patient can't clamp this, because what we try to do, if the patient can clamp, we teach them how to. Once you clamp this lines and the blood pump is running, it causes an alarm to stop the blood pump because the pressure went up and it went beyond the limits. And so that way, if you need to get out of there, we give these patients a little bag that got scissors in it, and then they got to clamp these, and you can cut right here or cut there. But these got to be clamped, because if you cut the line and this is not clamped, blood can come out from your access and you can bleed out. And so, again, I say all that to say that we can't give that type of education, because patients should know how to evacuate if the staff can't get to them in time. But if you have somebody that got their mom or dad there that's 70, 80, 90 years old, they're not going to be able to clamp depending on their strength.
Not only the strength, but, you know, they're also probably going to be a little, I don't know, overwhelmed,
frantic,
right?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what the second book goes into greater detail. Again, it'll be an easy read and understand. So, and one thing I want to say, there was on TikTok, and even not just TikTok, but even patients that may think this, there's been talk about patients drinking pickle juice doing dialysis to help with the cramping. And let me just say this, in my 37 years of this, there's all certain type of remedies that I've seen patients try: salt, vinegar, potato chips, pickle juice, bringing a mustard bottle and sucking on actual mustard. And that may alleviate maybe some cramps, maybe psychologically it may help, but there's no medical
or
benefits or anything in literature that says pickle juice you know is used for cramping, or eating mustard, or salt and vinegar potato chips. In fact, that will increase your blood pressure
The
because of the
sodium,
high rate
right?
of sodium. Right. So
Yeah.
this is what happens with the cramping that a lot of people don't understand. It depends on how much you're taking off fluids
Right.
between treatment. And you notice when I say a lot of fluid, I mean anywhere from 3 to 4 liters between a day. I've seen people gain like 5 to 7 liters, okay, between treatment. But if
Mhm.
you're constantly taking off 4 to 5 liters and you're trying to take it off within 3.5 hours, that's where the cramping comes in. And now you need to control your fluid intake or reevaluate your dry weight or target weight. And that weight is how much a person is without fluid on, where they feel comfortable, where they have a comfortable blood pressure, they're not cramping, and they feel good. But when you start taking all this extra fluid, after you get past the fluid that needs to come off, now you're getting into fluid that doesn't need to come off. Now you're going into the muscle tissues and taking that fluid,
Oh,
causing
wow.
like heat
Wow.
cramps or Charlie horse. And that's because
Mhm.
the fluid is depleted from the tissue
Yeah.
and it's going to react. And so that's
Uh-huh.
why we give the normal saline. I thought I
Mhm.
had the. Oh yeah, it looks like this is a little bag, but you've
Uh-huh.
seen the big bags, which are one liter bag. This is only 100 liter bag. So we would give something like this much fluid out of 1,000 liter bag, maybe 200 to 300 cc's of fluid to help with the cramping. And then you have patients who say, no, don't give me the fluid because you're putting it back on. But that is what's going to help you. And if you don't do that, what happens is a lot of patients go home and they may be below their dry weight. That's why they cramp, because they're below the weight that the doctor sets for them. They go home
Okay.
and they may be sleeping and
And that's when they
they're
get a
cramping at
Charlie horse
home.
or
Yeah. And so
Mhm.
what we tell them, if that happens or your blood pressure is low, get yourself some chicken bouillon cubes. Or if you like beef,
Okay.
get the beef bouillon
Beef
cubes, those
bouillon.
little
Yeah.
cubes.
Uh-huh.
Boil some water, put it in there. That has high sodium content. That's going to bring your pressure back up and it's going to help um, with the cramping. Just remember, with chemistry, with the hydrogen molecule and the sodium, wherever salt goes, water is going to follow behind it because they bond together,
Right, they do.
molecularly. Yeah, and
Mhm.
so if you eat Chinese food, you eat chicken wings or eat something that's high in sodium, you're going to immediately feel thirsty afterwards. And so we drink and drink and drink till we think we quenched our thirst, but now we're just adding more fluid on. And then if you don't urinate and you're adding this fluid on, it can be bad deal for a lot of people, because if now the fluids build up, maybe in your ankles, be in your lungs, and if they're in your lungs. With some people, when they try to sleep at night, they can't lay flat because you got so much fluid in you that's going to be hard to breathe. So now they got about 3, 4 pillows stacked behind them. So they're
Stacked
up in
behind
what's
them,
called,
yeah.
yeah, and what's called a semi-Fowler's position. And that's the
Okay.
position where you see people at the hospital on the gurney when they're in the ER, and they sitting up kind of like at an angle. And in medical terms, it's called the Fowler's position. And now you
Okay.
can breathe. But again, man, it all centered around this disease and being educated and know what's going on. So you can implement measures to uh, stop the progression, or and prevent further damage. Or if you're almost there, learning what you can do to um, manage your kidney failure, whether it's getting on the transplant list preemptive, or knowing about your treatment options. So if outpatient is not good for you, then you can do it at home. And that, I mean, it's just so many different disease that it's hard to uh, tackle all of them. That's why people such as yourself, Jonathan Trailer, and other kidney warriors who have shows and that are advocating about the seriousness of this disease and getting tested or considering being someone's donor, because I can't do it all. I mean, no one can do it all because there's so many different angles
Mm-hmm.
to this disease. Okay, I'm just
Right.
just I'm
Agreed.
just addressing a small portion, but I feel like the portion that I'm addressing is the most important one, because if the person knows how to prevent from going down and being a statistic, now this is the thing, Jared. They not only have to worry about being a statistic on dialysis, now they got to think about if they're going to try to get a transplant or just remain on dialysis for the rest of their life. That's a hard decision. And then when
It is.
someone
That is.
may get the courage or say, okay, I want to do a transplant, and they finally get the courage to do that, but when they go for testing, they may be deemed ineligible because of
I
something else or because of this.
Right. It
That's
happens. It
heartbreaking.
happens. It
It
is.
does.
It is very heartbreaking. I I've actually spoken, well, chatted with some kidney warriors that have faced that, where they are not on the deceased, transplant list, waiting list, but and they can only receive a living kidney donor. And then, of course, we've we've spoken with Cello Effect, who had a transplant at one time, but because of FSGS, that his transplanted kidney was damaged, and you know, pretty much, he's of the opinion, and what's been presented to him, that's probably going to happen again, and so he's, decided that I don't want to take the chance, and so he's probably not going to get a transplant ever, but and that's a whole different thing because he's so full of energy and so full of
Yes.
such good, vibrant, just vibes that we could have a whole nother topic just on what he does. He's incredible, but we're running a little bit out of time here. I want to
Right.
emphasize to anybody who's watching this that Steve has not only the book that you can order, the new book that's coming, the Lifeline Kit. But he's amazing to watch in regards to his TikTok videos. And if you comment on his TikTok videos or his YouTube videos, he'll respond and get back with you. So please don't, replay this, share it with somebody who
Mm-hmm.
wants to rewatch this show so that they can hear it from the very beginning because of all the information that he's given. It's valuable information. But I want to thank you, Steve. Thank you for coming on and sharing your insight. And
Oh,
hey,
thank you, man,
man,
for doing this.
it's my pleasure.
Yeah,
Again,
man, this is very important.
it is. It's so important. So you and I are going to continue to advocate. We're going to continue to help people know more about how diabetes and hypertension can cause kidney failure. And we're going to continue to be in front of the TikTok and YouTube and whatever we can. And I'm so thankful that we're doing this together and that we always collaborate because it's a good partnership and I'm thankful for it. Thank you.
Here, brother. Same here. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, brother. We'll have a blessed evening and we'll talk soon. Okay.
All right, man. Take it easy, Jared. Thanks, man. Good
Thank
night,
you.
everybody. All
Good
right.
night,
Peace.
everyone. Peace. All right, you guys. So we've heard from Steve, the kidney nurse. Please, the information scrolling across us here right now, bookmark it on your browser on Google or Safari. All right, you can find his book and information. All right, at stevethekidneynurse.com. Again, he's got his book, How to Survive Outpatient hemodialysis. I almost got tongue twisted there. And then he also has a new book that will be coming out. And then you can also find, again, information on his site about the Lifeline kit that he's talked about. So please send people to his website, watch his TikTok videos, and give him a listen anytime you have a question. His information is invaluable. All right. So please check out his website, check out his TikTok videos, get educated, know more about how to prevent diabetes type 2 and hypertension, and at least how to maintain and slow it down. All right. So be blessed. All right. Peace and blessings. Appreciate, have much respect and love for you all. Thank you. All right. Where's that outro? All right. There it is.
Ooh, like LeBron though, or like Lonzo. Ooh, I'm a baller, yeah, shot caller, yeah. They love me, you can't touch me, nah, can't trust me. I'm too lucky. Look at me, look at you, what you see, what you do. Baby, please think it through, drink it up, enjoy the view. MVP on my crew, Nike on my shoes. Might be sipping booze, slightly feeling loose. If I want it, then I have it.